Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to this week's episode of The Game According to Me. As normal, we're going to talk about what went down in college football, what went down in pro football. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Heisman finalists today, but we're going to start this episode with breaking news that happened early this morning. Aaron Judge agreed to a 9-year, $360 million contract with the New York Yankees. Here's an article here from MLBTradeRumors.com by Steve Adams. I'll read a little bit of here to you. I'll jump around. The New York Yankees are re-signing American League reigning MVP Aaron Judge, reports John Morosi of MLB.com. It's a 9-year, $360 million contract, tweets Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic. The agreement is still pending the completion of a physical, which is kind of weird. Don't you know what this guy does? But anyway, it's the largest free agent contract in MLB history, topping Bryce Harper's previous $330 million record contract. The $40 million a year average annual value on the contract establishes a new record among position players and trails only the matching $43.33 million contract of Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, both whom are on shorter term deals. For the largest in MLB history, Judge is represented by Paige Odell of PSI Sports Management. Judge decision to remain in New York puts an end to a weeks-long saga that saw him primarily fixed on the Yankees and Giants, the two most serious suitors, from the moment he rejected a qualifying offer issued by the Yankees. The Giants were reported to have made a similar offer yesterday, and Morosi tweets that Judge turned down higher offers after ultimately deciding he preferred to remain a Yankee. Judge will now likely spend his entire career in Yankee pinstripes, as the new contract will run through his age 39 season. Judge famously bet on himself heading into the 2022 season, turning down a 7-year, $213 million extension offer from the Yankees in spring training. General Manager Brian Cashman took the virtually unprecedented step of announcing the terms of the Yankees' final offer to the public, leaving no doubt as to the numbers that were offered. Judge's gamble drew some scrutiny, but in the end, he secured himself an additional 2 years and a dropping $146 million, a 68.6 increase over the original proposed guarantee. It's a massive win for Judge on that was earned on the heels of a season the likes of which baseball fans have never seen since Barry Bonds dominated during the steroid era. Judge led the majors in home runs scored, RBIs, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and total bases, finishing out the year with a comical slash line of 311, 425, 686, and a new American League record for home runs with 62. It's nearly impossible to draw up a better platform season for a free agent, and not simply because Judge captivated baseball fans everywhere while chasing down Roger Maris's long standard record in the final weeks of the season. Judge thrived in the national spotlight with the game's most high-profile team, but also most single-handedly prevented a second-half collapse. Judge mashed at a 349, 502, 784 clip following the All-Star break, belting 29 home runs and reaching base more than half of his 307 plate appearances. The rest of the lineup, meanwhile, looked utterly lifeless in the final season's months. Non-Judge Yankees hitters combined for a disastrous 223, 292, 360 slash after the All-Star break. Judge's heroics both pushed the Yankees to a division crown in the AL East and secured them a first-round bye in the newly expanded playoff format, and also painted a gruesome picture for Cashman and home owner Hal Steinbrenner of just what a judge-less Yankees team might look like forward. Judge finally went cold with a 1-for-16 slump in a brutal ALCS that saw the team score just a total of 9 runs while being swept by the eventual champion Astros. But it's unlikely the Yankees would have even reached that point had Judge not put the team on his back in such dramatic fashion. So there you have it. Again, that's an article by Steve Adams on Major League Baseball TradeRumors.com. Unreal that this has happened. You know, there was some stuff yesterday tweeted out by John Heyman, who had said that it was he actually tweeted arson Judge instead of Aaron Judge, but he was going to the Giants, and he had to quickly retract that. But and then San Diego apparently came in late, and he had went to San Diego last night to talk to them. But when it comes down to it, Aaron Judge remains a Yankee. So this is really unreal. What's going on? I kind of think that this is good for baseball, actually. That he stays a Yankee and that he stays, there and he completes his final year. Listen, um, people are going to be worried about him being 30 and the decline that he could have, and he very well could have a decline. But I don't think that's going to start at 30. I think that could start, in the second half of that, once he gets to 35, 36. But listen, if he can hit 50 home runs, and that hit 62, if he can just hit 50 home runs the next couple of years around that, average that, he should be helping his team out tremendously. So good for Aaron Judge. He did bet on himself, and he made himself a whole lot of money, more than Lamar Jackson has bet on himself. That's not good. But listen, they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna do some things, and they're gonna be good this year. The Yankees are. Let's just say next year in 2023. So, um, I'll probably will have more on the hot stove, what's going on with that, and maybe in my next upcoming podcast. I may do more on that, but it was breaking today. I was gonna say I couldn't do this podcast and not talk about it. So breaking news: Aaron Judge signs a record deal, 9 years, $360 million contract, $40 million a year, and he deserved it. All right, so now let's talk about the Heisman Trophy winners, and we'll segue into the college football recap and playoff situations, things like that. So, the Heisman Trophy finalists are Stetson Bennett from Georgia, Max Duggan from TCU, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, and Caleb Williams from USC. All four quarterbacks. The winner will be announced this Saturday on ESPN, as it normally is. So we had three guys played last weekend. Georgia played. Stetson Bennett played. Max Duggan from TCU, they played, and then Caleb Williams played last Friday. C.J. Stroud did not get the opportunity to play, but it is what it is. There are some people that are thinking that possibly there were other people that were snubbed. Hendon Hooker from Tennessee, the quarterback there, Michigan running back Blake Corum, and Texas running back Bijan Robinson. Some people felt like they was they should have been in there, but it's it is what it is. We have the four, and I think all four have a very good chance of winning it. And let's just talk about this, right? Let's talk about the guy that didn't play, C.J. Stroud. His last view was getting blown out by Michigan, right? Getting blown out by Michigan. Didn't play that well in that game as well, but he had a tremendous year, and he was totally one of the leaders for Heisman, him and Bryce Young coming into the season. So he stayed strong, and he's now there at the Final Four. Caleb Williams, who seemed to be kind of maybe the person coming down the stretch as USC was beating teams like UCLA, Notre Dame. He seemed to be the one that had the most, momentum. He played Friday night against Utah. He lost, but in a valiant effort, in which where he got hurt, he was playing hurt, and just showed a lot of toughness. Not necessarily his fault. The USC defense couldn't stop the fart. Um, so he gave a valiant effort. And then Saturday, Max Duggan from TCU, he gave an even better effort, bringing his team from behind, running the ball. So he scored a touchdown, and he was too tired to celebrate. And then he throws a 2-point conversion, and and he's still on the ground. There's almost passing out from exhaustion in that game. Tremendous effort from Max Duggan of TCU, but again, they lost. And they lost very closely to Kansas State. But man, truly effort from Max Duggan. And then you have Georgia's Stetson Bennett, who's just been solid all the year, straight through all the year. He's the quarterback of the #1 team in the nation. So, and he's the only one who won his last game. Before this one, Georgia beat LSU in the SEC championship game. So right now, I think it's wide open. I think I think that some people they just, this has always been a thing with me. I think you can start voting after the last game of the season, right? You can vote after the last game of the season, which would have been the Friday after the weekend after Thanksgiving. And I guarantee there's gonna be some people who voted for Caleb Williams after that. Do not wait to see what happened on championship weekend. That's something that doesn't need to be happening. You should be able to vote. You should have to vote. After the thing, after the championship weekend. And that's when you should be. And that's when voting is open. You have 24 hours to vote, and with the technology, you don't have to mail in your vote or write in your vote. You can pull up an app that's only available to like the Heisman voters, and do it on that. So, but we'll see what happens this Saturday. Who wins the coveted Heisman Trophy for the best football player in college football? As we stick with college football here, we're going to quickly go over what went down this past championship weekend. We talked about it a little bit. We had 2 Friday games. North Texas lost big to Texas and San Antonio, 48-27. UTSA is the champions of, I'm going to say, the Sun Belt Conference. I think that may be at the Sun Belt Conference. Again, Utah destroyed USC 47-24, and especially in the second half, after Caleb Williams was hurt and could not continue. The defense was just a sieve, and Utah was the more physical, most dominant team, and they kicked USC's ass 47-25. Utah is the Pac-12 champions. On to Saturday, TCU talked about this loss to Kansas State, 31-28 in overtime. I for everything that Max Duggan did to get that team back in the game, I was shocked that on third and goal and 4th and goal, they didn't try to run with Max Duggan. Especially now with the fact that you can now push the quarterback, in the back. I don't know why they just didn't have the fullback come in motion and come back and then bam, push the quarterback in the middle into the end zone. I don't know why they didn't do it, or maybe they could just even spread them out and did the quarterback run that way. Maybe a run pass out for the quarterback. So it just amazes me. I think Sonny Dykes the reason why TCU it aren't the Big 12 champions, and why it's Kansas State, but it didn't hurt them, and we'll get to that in a second. Troy beat Coastal Carolina 45-26, and Troy is the what is huh. Well, they're the conference champions. I don't know what conference it is. Georgia beat LSU 50-30. SEC champion Georgia Bulldogs. Tulane beat UCF 45. I want to say UFC so bad. UCF 45-28. Tulane is the American Conference champions. Michigan beat Purdue 43-22. Big Ten championship for Michigan. And Clemson beat North Carolina 39-10. Clemson, the ACC champions. So, what did TCU and USC do losing? Did it cause some controversy? Not really. Georgia won, they stayed at 1. Michigan won, they stayed at 2. TCU lost, they stayed at 3. And Ohio State was the one that jumped ahead of USC, and they were from 4. So 2 Big Ten teams in the college football playoff, Michigan and Ohio State. Georgia will take on Ohio State. Michigan will take on TCU, and the winner of those 2 teams will do battle for the national championship. We could see very well Georgia versus Michigan. We could very well see Georgia versus TCU. We could very well see TCU versus Ohio State. But wouldn't it be tasty? Wouldn't it be tasty if we could get Michigan and Ohio State the rematch for the national championship? That is something that I would be looking very much forward to. So we'll see what happens. All of those happen. The semifinal games are on New Year's Eve, Saturday, December 31st, and then of course we've had, I think January 9th will be the championship game for college football. So there you have it. We may go over the bowls next week because that's when the things start next week. Next Friday the 16th. We got the Bahamas Bowl between Miami of Ohio and UAB. We've got the Cure Bowl between Texas, San Antonio, and Troy, 2 conference championship winners, starting next Friday. So we may go over the bowls next week, and I might give my opinion on who's going to win. I wonder where did Notre Dame fit in? Where did Notre Dame fit in here? Notre Dame's at the Gator Bowl against South Carolina. That should be an interesting one. December 30th. So, yeah. All right. So there you have it. That is what's happening in college football. On to the pros. Okay, so now let's end it up with the main event as usual, the National Football League. Last Thursday, the Bills took on the Patriots. They took them out 24-10. Did the Bills. Now atop of the AFC East because of what happened Sunday. We'll get to that in a second. On the Packers beat the Bears 28-19. Justin Fields came back. Aaron Rodgers played. Aaron Rodgers still owns the Bears. Steelers beat the Falcons 19-16. They're trying to do all they can to make sure that Mike Tomlin does not have a losing season on the Steelers, and we'll see if they can continue that down the stretch. The Vikings beat the Jets 27-22. Jets played hard, but the Vikings was too much for them. 27-22 Vikings. The Lions blew out the Jaguars 40-14. The Lions are trying to make a last stretch as well to go to the playoffs. We'll see if that can happen. The Eagles beat the Titans 35-10. A.J. Brown's revenge game against the Titans, and the Eagles made sure that A.J. Brown had enough vengeance for himself. Deshaun Watson's first game back after 700 days of playing, and it sure did look like it. No offensive touchdowns whatsoever. Some definitely mistakes, some wild throws. But the Browns still beat the Texans 27-14. A Commanders-Giants game ended in a tie, 2020. The Giants are 7-4-1. The Commanders are 7-5-1. But this tie could individually help both teams make the playoffs because if they end up with like an 8-8-1, and 8-1, and somebody else is 8-9, then that automatically helps them get into the playoffs. The Ravens beat the Broncos 10-9, even after the injury to Lamar Jackson. He will be day to day. Who knows if and when he will play? I think I heard something recently that he probably would not play this Sunday, but we'll see about that. And the Broncos continue on being just god awful. God awful offense, god awful, pretty decent defense, but just god awful. And everybody's starting to think that this is a mistake for Russell. That this Broncos trading for Russell Wilson was maybe a mistake and a big mistake. And we will see if that turns around. This first year could be something else. But if they do fire the coach and get a new coach, we'll see what happens. But right now, it does look like not very good for the Broncos. The 49ers beat the Dolphins 33-17. Tua had an off day Sunday. And so the Dolphins, the defense of the 49ers is very good and probably made him have an off day. But the big story out of the 49ers is Jimmy Garoppolo broke his foot. He would not need surgery, but he did break his foot, and they had to go to their third quarterback, rookie Brock Purdy, who came in and was spectacular. He was like 26 of 37, something like that, with 2 touchdowns. I mean, listen, Justin Fields, he hasn't even thrown for 30 passes this season. And the rookie came in and the first day, he throws 37 passes. So they still lead the NFC West. Talk about, can this help now? Can Brock Purdy do this? This could be something special. Brock Purdy can play like he played against the Dolphins. If he can play like this for down the rest of the stretch. But now teams will have tape on Brock Purdy, unlike the Miami Dolphins had any tape. So he may not be a shock and a surprise to some teams as it happens. Seahawks beat the Rams 27-23, keeps the playoff hopes intact for the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams are going to play this Thursday. Matthew Stafford's not going to come back this season, and they took on Baker Mayfield, who was waived by the Panthers on Monday, and they filed a claim to pick him up, and there's even a chance that he might play tomorrow, which is insane, but it could happen. Chargers beat the Raiders. Raiders beat the Chargers 27-20. There's starting to be some rumblings about whether or not Brandon Staley is that guy to help out Justin Herbert. We will see. Who knows what could happen? But you have something special there in Justin Herbert, and you're not doing what he needs to do to seem like to be able to get to the next level. So the Bengals beat the Chiefs 27-24. 3 consecutive wins over the Kansas City Chiefs for the Cincinnati Bengals. They have their number right now, and with that loss for the Chiefs and the loss to 49ers for the Dolphins, that puts the Buffalo Bills in the driver's seat once again, number 1 seed, to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs and get a first round bye. You can't mess up Buffalo. You have to win each and every game down the stretch, and I think they can do that. And history was made in Dallas Sunday night. A 33-point fourth quarter for the Dallas Cowboys as they just put a 50 burger up on the Indianapolis Colts 54-19. The honeymoon is definitely over in Indianapolis for Jeff Saturday. After that, win against the Las Vegas Raiders, this first one, he's had 3 straight losses, and they haven't looked good in really any of those games. Really time. Even though the Eagles game was close and the Steelers game was close, but it is a truly insane thing that is going on right now in Indianapolis, and we'll see what happens down the rest of the line for the Indianapolis Colts. And the Cowboys, they are getting there hot on, and they could easily be top of this NFC, and they're getting hot at the right time. It looks like, and they could be getting OBJ as well. Breaking news: as I'm recording this, looking on ESPN, Von Miller is out for the season after he has undergone ACL surgery. So, if Buffalo's going to do this, they're going to do it without Von Miller. So we'll see what happens with Von Miller out for the season after going ACL injury. He had 8 sacks in 11 games this season for the Buffalo Bills. And Monday Night Football, Tom Brady had his 44th comeback victory as his Buccaneers beat the Saints 17-16. Definitely some things. So there's a lot of talk about a series that the New Orleans Saints had in that fourth quarter where it looks like that they put in an injured running back in Mark Ingram and ran him like on first down. They did something on second down. Or maybe they ran him on second down. Who knows? Third down, they tried a slant pass, and then they didn't go for it on 4th and 1. They punted and gave the ball back to the Buccaneers. And so that a lot of people think that's where the game is lost. If you, I know Taysom Hill later on dropped the ball that he had in his hands, but that's what a lot of people are saying, that if you would have went for it there and got it, you could have maybe taken more time off the clock, if not even scored. You kick a field goal or something like that. So, but yeah, Buccaneers came back 17-16. Still, the Buccaneers still don't look very like a contender right now. They just look like they're a division winner, but not a really true contender, even though they have Tom Brady. Looking ahead to this next week in football, tomorrow night, talked about it, the Raiders and the Rams are going to play. Could Baker Mayfield play? We'll be waiting and seeing. The Vikings playing the Lions on Sunday. Ravens and the Steelers. The Browns and the Bengals. We got 2 NFC North games there. The AFC North games. We do an NFC North game between the Vikings and the Lions. We got some Jets and Bills action. That's an AFC East game. Texans at the Cowboys. That should be interesting. Like the Cowboys have like games against the AFC South, like all coming up next. Then they just played the Colts. They get the Texans. They got the Jaguars and the Titans, I think, all in the same row, which is, I mean, like let's see. Week 15, they're taking on the Jaguars. In week 16, they're taking on the Eagles. That's on Christmas, right? Christmas Eve. Week 17, they're taking on the Titans, and then and of course week 18, they're taking on the Commanders. So, but yeah, like they're gonna go down this stretch where they're taking on the AFC South, and they should win all of these AFC South games. The Eagles are taking on the Giants. That's in NFC East matchup. AFC South matchup between the Jaguars and the Titans. A lot of inter-division games this week. The Chiefs and the Broncos. The Panthers and the Seahawks. We got the Buccaneers and the Chargers. Sunday Night Football, the Dolphins. And the Buccaneers and the 49ers, excuse me. Sunday Night Football are the Dolphins at the Chargers. And Monday Night Football, the Patriots at the Cardinals. Bet you ESPN happy they got the Patriots and the Cardinals. Yeah. So that is it for week 14 and it for the National Football League segment on this podcast. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this episode of The Game According to Me. Once again, if you feel like you want to support this podcast and support this creator, a couple ways to do it. You can go to anchor.fm/8Andre Show. And on there, you have 3 tiers, 99 cents, $4.99, and $9.99 a tier. Or you can go to patreon.com/AJTRIP and become a patron. Once I hit a certain amount of patrons, you will be able to determine what you hear on my other podcast, The World According to Me, what videos you'd like to see me do on my YouTube channel, AJTRIP, and what you like, video games you'd like to see me play on twitch.tv/AJTRIP20. Either you would either buy me the game you would want me to play, or you would have to choose from one of the games that I already have. So there you have it. And then there's the non-monetary way of supporting me as a creator, and there's just sharing this podcast all over your social media, rating it highly, liking it, doing whatever you can. So those are the ways you can support me. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is your boy, AJ Trip, signing off. As always, be good, to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.